Okay, I've been getting a few questions about how I constructed the copper pipe for these two water heaters. So let me explain it. And by the way, I used type L, which is the thicker gauge copper pipe, and 3/4 inch. So once again, I have two water heaters, and I explained this in a previous video, and I'm not going to go through it all again. The electric currently is not in use. It's a backup. The natural gas power vent, this one, is my primary source of water. They're both 50 gallons, and the way I have this hooked up, with the pipes, I have the option, with the piping, I have the option of either using the primary, the natural gas, or turning that off, by flipping the valves, and using the electric water heater. So I have the option of using either one, or I could use both. And it's how I have everything piped in up here. And let me just go through and explain it real quick. So here, coming out of the water filter, that's a T, and that goes to the house. So the water, it's cold water, comes down here, and this valve is currently open, vertical position. It's open. It's ball valve. Goes into the water heater, my natural gas water heater, heats it up, and then once the water reaches the desired temperature, comes out here, and then goes through this. This valve is open, and then these valves are both closed, so it cannot travel down into the electric water heater. So it goes through the house and provides hot water. Another option would be for me to use the electric water heater, and that would work as follows. Once again, the T going to the house for cold water. This valve here would be open, and I'll get to that in a minute. So it's currently closed. I would have to open it, and this is if I'm using the electric. And then I would close this valve, so my gas water heater would not receive any water. Closing it would simply flip it to the side. It's closed. I'm going to leave it back in the open position. And then this one would be closed, which is after the water has been heated in the water heater, it comes out this way. So once again, actually let me close them both. So they're both closed. And then I'm not going to open this one up because the water would rush into my electric water heater, but I would open this valve here, and you could see behind here I have it coming down here and feeding into this, so it would go into the water heater. And I would leave this valve closed. And then I would also close this valve. So this valve would be closed. This valve is currently open. It would be closed. So the water in essence would be coming in here. This valve, I'm not going to open it, but it would be open. The water would then go in. The valve's closed. Go into my water heater. Here. Be heated. Come out. This valve would be open. And then we'd go to the house. Or I have the option of having both water heaters in service at the same time. And that would be done with the water being fed through here into the natural gas water heater and then coming out. And then I would also open up this valve up top here. So the water, once feeding through, it would go to my natural gas water heater, and it would also go to my electric water heater, because this valve would be open here, and it would feed into there. This valve would be closed, would remain closed, because I would not want the hot water coming out of here going into my electric water heater. So I'd leave this closed. So I would leave that valve open, water coming out of here. Actually, pardon me, I would close this valve. Yeah, close this valve. So the water coming out of here would go to the house, and this valve would then be opened. So the water coming out of here, in theory, would go that way or this way. But providing a source, it would go this way to the house. So that's how I would use these water heaters in one of 3 different ways. Either the natural gas, the electric, or both.